This here is my automatic watering system. This is a 4-inch piece of sewage drainage PVC. So it's a lot cheaper than the other stuff. I believe this is probably 11 bucks. The Schedule 40 PVC is almost 40, a little under. So this stuff works really good. And I have these caps here. That's all I did. These are just end caps, just 4-inch, everything. You can kind of tell what's going on. For these bottom pieces, I ended up using these here. It is a 5/16 inner diameter, and they seem to work okay. I also have a grommet under each one. Some of them I had to put a little bit of silicone because I wanted to leak a little bit around where I drilled out the PVC. They don't all do it, but some did, and I just use regular clear outdoor silicone, non-paintable. That stuff should probably last a while. This tubing right here is very common. It's 5/16 inner diameter. I think you can get those for brewing beer and whatever. So the nipples I use are these right here. You can get these online. I'll leave a link. You can open them up in case you ever have to clean them, although it would be kind of a pain in the butt. There's a little spring inside, but it is there. What I did before I actually installed them on the inside was tighten them up just a little bit more. I didn't want to take a chance of it leaking once I zip tied them onto those plates. So what you need to know for sure is you're going to need a regulator, and that's what this is. You don't want to put your standard 30 to 40 psi on here, and that's what's coming out of your faucet. You have to regulate it down. So this is a 0 to 5 psi, and I have it set to, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2. I have it on its lightest setting because you go to touch the nipple on the inside, water will just shoot out, and I didn't want to splash the rabbits and whatever, so I have it at about 1 psi, and it works just fine. Just a little bit for them to get a sip of water. I would recommend you get one of these valves in case something ever was to happen. You could just shut everything off and fix it. So let's talk about the hangers. You can get these at the hardware store. They're just regular old hangers, and I ended up chopping the top off so it would fit here, and that's about it. You know, you got 2 caps on each side and a hose that runs to them, and I've had this thing working for probably about a month and a half now, and no leaks. When I originally put it together, there was some leaks, and that's why I had to use the silicone, but as far as right now, it's fine. I have this is actually coming from the house. This is coming from, I have a 5-stage reverse osmosis filter. I give this to the chickens and to the rabbits. You know, I don't know how your tap water is, but mine is pretty nasty, and I want to filter out all that nasty junk and give them the best. So that's where this is coming from. In the winter time, this will freeze, all of it. So for sure, this little bitty hose right here is going to freeze. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this with insulation and put a piece of heat tape over it. That'll keep it from freezing up, and hopefully during the days in the winter, it'll warm up just enough to let more water through here. But there will still be enough water in reserve for the rabbits. And of course, if that doesn't work, I'll bring the bottles back out for the rabbits. This is pretty much it. It's a fairly simple build. So you can do it if you want to. I saw some contraptions online where they have the water constantly flowing and then have a heater on one side so that it's flowing through past all the nipples for wintertime. But to me, this seems more practical. In the summertime, it's working just fine. No leaks, no nothing. I can't tell you specifically how many gallons of water it holds, but I did have to work on it one day, and I disconnected this and whatever else, and all of the bunnies still had water the next day. So that's a plus. That's a safety net just in case. This is the method I ended up going with. I decided to use this stem elbow instead of the one that has threads on them. I did have to use this epoxy, and after it dried, I came back over it with silicone.
I also wrap this end cap with pipe tape. This regulator normally comes with 1/2-inch PVC ends, but I decided to use threaded connectors to connect to the 1/4-inch hose. Also notice that you need a female and male connector. I'll link all that down below. Give yourself some slack on this hose and not try to line up the elbow with the hole. Believe me, you'll thank yourself later. I have this tube buried only a few inches under the ground all the way to the house. This plate is from the electrical department. I decided to zip tie the nipple to it, figuring it would be easier to maintenance in case anything went wrong.
All I do to test this, just put a little stick on it, and that's it. All right, here's our marks. Let's drill these holes. You'll need a 3/4-inch drill bit. Here's some advice. Have the gear set to low. You don't want this fast because it's gonna tear apart your piece of PVC.
All I'm doing right here is taking off the burrs.
These grommets can be a kind of a pain in the butt. This here's a little test piece. See how this fits. Isn't that nice? So what I did is I cut the angle a little bit. Here's a regular angle. Look how high it would normally fit. So all I did was cut it with my knife. You could probably use a pair of snips or something. So when putting these in there, you have to be really easy with it, or it'll push the grommet right on in.
When you put the ends on, be sure to use both primer and cement.
Okay, well that's the whole video. I appreciate you watching, and I'll catch you next time.